Hi, everybody. Welcome back. It's me, Deanna. It's my second episode of Ropes and Heels, and tonight I'm going to talk about Sting. I'm going to talk about his career and what he's meant to me as a fan and everything else about him, and how sad I am he's retiring, but he's earned it. He's definitely earned it. I was about 6 years old, maybe 5 or 6 years old, when Sting made his debut in 1985. And I just remember seeing him and just falling in love with him instantly. I just thought he was the greatest thing. Back in those days, my favorite guys were Roddy Piper, Ric Flair, uh, and Sting. They were my favorites, and to this day, they're still my favorites. Um, I just remember him making his debut and he had on all those bright colors and he just looked amazing. I mean, he was in very good shape and I was like 5 or 6. I really didn't care about, what his body looked like or anything like that. I thought he had a very very cute face. I had a crush on him and I thought he was just, absolutely gorgeous with his bright colors and his bleach blonde hair, and it was all spiky. And I think he had a rat tail, if my memory is serving correctly. I definitely remember a little bit of a rat tail. Like it wasn't like super long. It was probably like, yay long. And it was like shaved and then he had like a flat top on top, which is very different from the Sting we have today. Now he's like this gothic icon. He's, kind of resembles the Crow a little bit. The original Crow, the Brandon Lee Crow, not what we're being served as the Crow right now, which is a different topic for a different day. Um, but he's Sting. He's an icon. Almost everybody in the business now looks up to him as a mentor and as, just like a big brother or a father figure. And he's pretty much beloved by every wrestling fan. I don't think I've ever come across any fan who's ever had anything negative to say about Sting. He's always been fantastic. He's been great. Um, he's definitely earned this retirement and I'm very thankful and happy that he's retiring on his own terms. He's not retiring because, he's suffering an injury or anything like that. He's kept his body in pretty good condition all these years. It's been almost 40 years. Um, and I'm sure he was wrestling before he made like his television debut. But yeah, his body has been in great shape. He's in great condition, and he still looks good. And I'm definitely going to be watching his match tomorrow with my little box of tissues and crying because I'm really going to miss seeing him on my TV. Um, he's just a beautiful person. I never had the chance to meet him, unfortunately, but that can change. Just because he's retired doesn't mean he's not going to do conventions. A lot of the retired guys go out and do conventions on a regular basis, like Greg Valentine and Brutus the Barber Beefcake, Honky Tonk Man. A lot of those great guys, they're no longer on TV. They're not really in the industry anymore, but they still come out and they do conventions and meet the fans and tell stories, and it's all amazing. So maybe I'll catch them at a convention someday, and that will definitely be a highlight for me. I'm really excited that he's going to have his best buddy, Ric Flair, by his side tomorrow. Well, it'll probably be later on today by the time I post this. Um, but I'm really thankful that he's going to have, Ric Flair with him, and he's going out on his own terms. I'm sorry, I'm a little emotional. I really love Sting. Like I said, I've loved him for almost 40 years, so that's just not going to go away. As soon as he leaves the ring, I'm going to be really sad about it. And, you know, I just got to say, Darby Allin, like, how freaking cool that Darby Allin, has got to start his career with Sting. And and, got to team up with a lot of these amazing icons on his side. Like he's teamed up with Adam Copeland, also known as Edge. He's, you know, he's hanging around with Ric Flair, and he got to meet the Great Muta and do a match with him. He's wrestled with CM Punk, and that's just like the tip of the iceberg. Darby Allin, I love him. I actually think he has like the greatest theme song I've ever freaking heard. Like I actually have it on my playlist on Spotify, and I'm like, man, this song is just so good. Like the lyrics are amazing. The music is, awesome. I have nothing bad to say about Darby Allin except maybe slow down a little bit. Slow down so you can just last as long as Sting. Um, it's no shock that I am an AEW girl. I do watch the WWE pay-per-views and, stay ahead on the news and everything like that. But I just really love the diversity of the AEW roster. They have a lot of newcomers, they have a lot of legends, and they got everybody from every corner of the world. They got the Mexican wrestlers, the Canadians, the British, the Aussies. They got, the Japanese. They got everybody. Every color and everybody's represented in AEW, and that's something I really appreciate about them. But we're not gonna trash talk WWE and what they're going through right now. But again, and with that said, there are a lot of wrestlers in WWE that I do love and will watch on occasion. But tonight we're gonna focus on Sting. Um, I was in attendance at Full Gear back in November, where it was Sting's last match in California. And that was pretty emotional. I was pretty close to the front. I was in the 8th row, and I was literally about 7 rows because I think his sons were in the front row, right behind the commenters or the commentators. And I was in the 8th row, so I was literally like 7 rows back, and I could see like the backs of their heads. And the match that he had with it was a trios match, I believe. I'm trying to remember. Because there were so many great matches that night. Hangman and Swerve definitely stole the freaking show. But I believe it was Darby, Sting, and Adam Copeland versus the Patriarchy. And it was a fantastic match. And then when the match was over, Sting's sons, came up and gave him a hug. And, it was very emotional for a lot of the people in the crowd. I mean, I was crying. The dude next to me was, tearing up a little bit. And I didn't know him. I don't know him. So I do know his name was Adam, though, because he was like, I'm going to get a shirt that says Adam, because of Roderick Strong. But yeah, it was really cool. And I was very happy to have been in attendance of that. It was one of Sting's last matches ever and his last match in California. So it was a little sad, but it was a beautiful match. And, I'm going to be sad to see Sting go. And I know he's not going to be gone forever. I think he's probably still going to make a TV appearance here and there, to show up for Darby. Hopefully, that would be really cool. That would actually be really cool if he, randomly came out and did spots with Darby just to be like, hey, I'm still here. If anybody in the wrestling industry deserves this beautiful retirement, it is Sting. Like I said, he's always been a fan favorite um, since day one. I mean, he just busted out into the scene, and he was just amazing. And it's kind of cool to hear like the backstory, how him and Ultimate Warrior were like best buddies, and they just wanted to be wrestlers. And when I was a little kid, I didn't know all this, but I always thought that like their face makeup was very similar, like the shape that they did, like that, the thing that they did was very similar, and the colors were very similar. And I didn't know back then that they were best friends. And Warrior went to, it was WWF at the time, and then Sting was there were so many promotions back in the 80s, and I was so young, so I might mess this up. I don't think he was in NWA. I want to say maybe WCW and AWA. But like Sting didn't join WWE until 2012. And the fact that he's probably like the biggest, like he was well established long before 2012. So he was probably like the biggest star to ever be in wrestling who didn't need WWE's help. He was already a big star before he joined. So that's really cool. That in itself is an accomplishment because most people um they don't hear of you until you join WWE. But Sting was well known. I think I remember like a Sprite commercial or Mountain Dew commercial that Sting did, and he like came in and beat up some little kid or something. I don't know. I was really young and it was the 80s, so it is what it is. But I'm gonna miss Sting, and I'm sure I'm not the only one. He's just, he's just a lovable figure in the wrestling industry. I think he's loved by everybody. And there's only like one other wrestler I can say that about, where everybody just loves and respects the crap out of them, and that would be Dusty Rhodes, who, again, was another one of my favorites. And, I wish Dusty could be here. I know him and Sting were pretty close. And, man, now I miss Dusty. But, yeah, so I'm excited and a little sad for Revolution. I'm gonna be really sad to see Sting go. I remember one time I was really little. I think Sting did have an injury and he was out for a little while. And I remember him, coming back on crutches. And I don't know. That's just a random memory that I have. I don't even remember what the injury was. I don't know if it was like a knee injury or a torn muscle or ACL injury or what. I just remember him having an injury, being gone for a while, and then coming back on crutches. Excuse me. I smoke a lot of cigarettes, so I do tend to cough a lot. I'm not sick. I'm trying to quit, So don't give me any shit about it, okay, guys? Just let me do my thing. It's better to smoke cigarettes than to smoke crack, right? Shh. That's not very kid friendly. Kids don't smoke, or you're gonna sound like me. Um, Coughing every 10 seconds. It sucks. Um, but yeah. So, what do you guys think? Leave me some comments. Leave me some feedback. What are some of your favorite matches involving Sting? Um, I mean, oh my gosh, we could be here all night talking about Sting's matches with Ric Flair alone. That's not talking about anybody else. Just Sting and Ric Flair. They've had so many fantastic matches together. And again, Ric Flair is one of my favorite wrestlers, and I'm so happy and thankful that Rick is going to be there for Sting in his final match. I think it's beautiful. I think their friendship is beautiful. I think Sting is beautiful. Even now. How old is he? How old is Sting? Hold on. I'm going to look it up on my phone because I'm curious. I think he's, 64? 65? Give me a few moments here, guys. My phone's a little old and on the slow side, just like me. Oh man, I just pulled up my phone and it's like the first thing on like Google News is Sting's son Steven reflects on father's career. You did it, Dad. Oh my gosh. I'm gonna cry. I feel like this episode I'm gonna freaking cry my eyes out. Give me 1 second here, let me type it in. Do. So let me see here. 64 years old. And he looks amazing. Like, he really, really does. Even, like, on the rare occasions that you see him without his makeup on, he's still got, like, a very good-looking face, he's not all wrinkled and haggard or anything like that. It's beautiful. I was watching a video earlier tonight, um, where Darby Allen goes up to Sting. He's like, "Hey, all these people left you wonderful messages. You should listen to them." And I was crying watching it because I was just like, it was a lot of like other wrestlers and some of Sting's family members and things like that. But it was really funny because Billy Gunn, whom I love, by the way, I love Billy Gunn. Um, and I just want to say, you haven't lived unless you've been scissored by Daddy Ass, and I have been scissored by Daddy Ass. Greatest moment of my life. I'm silly. Just ignore my silliness. Unless you love it, then I'll let me know and I'll put some more silliness in there. Whatever you guys want. This is all about you. I'm here to entertain you. I'm here to, you know, share my thoughts and opinions and ideas with you. And I would love to get some feedback. I want to hear what you guys have to think. I'm open. I'm an open book. And I want you guys to be honest with me. I know I say and a lot, and I try not to. I'm trying to be better about it this episode because I listened to my last episode and I was just like, oh my gosh, is that how I really talk? That's so embarrassing. But anyway, Billy Gunn, um, he left a little voicemail for Sting, and it was like, I love you, blah blah blah, but I'm kind of mad because now I'm gonna be like the oldest guy on the roster. And then he's like, screw that, I'm going to be like one of the oldest guys still in the industry. So, Billy Gunn, I met him. He was silly. He was funny. I'm going to say this. That man is huge. He's jacked. His arm was like the size of me. And I'm not tall, I'm definitely far from tall. I'm 4'11". But like, I'm chunky, I got some weight on me, which I'm also trying to get off, but, baby steps, right? But yeah, seriously, Billy Gunn's arm is the size of my entire freaking body. But he's so nice. So freaking nice. I love Billy Gunn. So if you ever have a chance to meet Billy Gunn, do it. Um, but yeah, his little voicemail to Sting actually made me laugh a lot because I was just like, that's so funny. And like other folks in the industry left him little snippets, little voicemail. I think Big Show left one, and oh my gosh, I can't remember now. I'm having a brain fart. That's me for you. It's pretty late at night on Saturday, and my dog is laying in bed trying to sleep, but I got all these bright lights on, and he's just kind of popping an eye open and looking at me like, dude, are you talking to yourself yet? Again, mother. Yes, Crowley. I am. Yeah, my dog's name is Crowley. Supernatural fan as well. I said, and I just did it again. Gosh darn it. But yeah, it's on YouTube. I even forget what the name of it was, but I think it was uploaded by the actual AEW YouTube channel. So check that out. If you want to have a good little chuckle and a good little eye watering going on. Like, I didn't full on cry or sob. With that said, I probably will be doing that watching Revolution in a few hours because I get pretty emotional about wrestling. You know, when somebody passes away, I like really spiral out. And I'm not gonna say I spiral out, but I get pretty sad for a few days. And this week I gotta bring it up. We lost two icons this week. We lost Virgil. Mm, that one hurt. That one hurt pretty hard. A few years back, I used to actually email with Virgil back and forth, and he's such a nice guy. Such a nice guy. And he didn't deserve to be treated the way that he was by WWE. And with that said, I'm actually pretty disappointed in Ted DiBiase's tribute to Virgil. That was just disappointing. I didn't even know what to say. I saw all these other wrestlers and fans and stuff making all their posts about Virgil and how much he meant to them. And it was like, what, 2 days? 2 days it took Ted DiBiase to make a statement. It was just like, you'll be missed. And I'm just like, bro, Virgil made you who you are. And that's all you got to say. Didn't help. Didn't help Virgil the past couple years. Virgil was suffering a lot of medical issues, begging for help. And, he literally became a freaking joke, which irritates me. People making fun of Virgil because he'd, pop up and sell his autographs and stuff. And the dude was just trying to survive. He was just trying to survive, pay his bills, and stay off the streets. And that's the best Ted DiBiase could do. Couldn't throw him a couple bucks. Couldn't help out his buddy, his partner. Couldn't do that. I mean, honestly, up until a couple months ago, I was probably one of the biggest Ted DiBiase fans. I loved him. And I'm just extremely disappointed in him. I'm going to give a little praise here to Mr. Chris Jericho for, donating a decent sum to the GoFundMe to help pay for Virgil's funeral and, help his family with the expenses and everything like that. So that was very cool, Chris Jericho. And I'm on the fence about Chris Jericho all the time. Because, he'll do, this one really, really great thing. And then something stupid will happen that tarnishes his name. As a wrestler, he's fantastic. I like his theme song a lot, too. It's definitely a good little song there. I like it. But then, you get all this other crap going on. And, but yeah, when a fellow wrestler needs the help, Chris Jericho is the first one to step in. And I think that's beautiful. I think that's great. So, good on you, Chris Jericho. Thank you. And then we also lost one of the Four Horsemen, Ole Anderson. And I grew up when the Four Horsemen was the thing. And I think the members of the Four Horsemen I definitely remember the most are Arn and Ole Anderson, who are not related, even though kayfabe they were cousins, I think. But they are not related in real life. And Ric Flair. I'm trying to think, who's the fourth one? Oh my gosh, I can't remember the fourth one from when I was growing up. But I definitely remember those three. And I do remember, other members, being switched in. I remember Brian Pillman for a little while. And the person we do not speak of, whose initials are CB. There was another one. Tully Blanchard. There he is. Tully Blanchard. I was like, I know it. Yes, the four that I remember the most were Tully Blanchard, Arn and Ole Anderson, and Ric Flair. And, I can't really sit here and speak on much of Ole Anderson's career. I don't really remember any of his matches. I was really, really young. And then, of course, the Four Horsemen, broke up and they were switching, members in and out, in and out, in and out. So I really don't know much about Ole Anderson other than the fact that, he was a Four Horsemen member. And I know he was like really good friends with The Rock's grandmother, who had her own little wrestling promotion. And I know he was like a major influence to a lot of wrestlers and such like that, but to speak on his actual ring work and his career, I'm just not going to open my mouth about it, but I recognize the name and I recognize the legendary status that he has, and it was really sad to see him go as well. All I know is that he lived a long life, which is something a lot of wrestlers don't really get to see. So, R.I.P. to Virgil and Oli. My condolences to their friends and family and fans. And, all we can do is be thankful that they're no longer suffering or in pain or whatever the case may be. Um, so, yeah. What a week. What a week in wrestling. And then next week's going to be a big week. We got the season premiere of Dark Side of the Ring, which is another show that I just absolutely love. I think it's the bee's knees. I like hearing, about the underbelly of wrestling. Although the last season was pretty good, that season finale is going to be hard to beat. The Marty Jannetty Dark Side of the Ring. If you haven't watched it, I highly recommend it. Some good stuff there, guys. Some good stuff. I don't believe everything I see on Dark Side of the Ring. I mean, the plane ride from hell episode, I'm sure a lot of what they said happened, and maybe more, maybe less, but I also feel like a lot of it was embellished upon just for TV ratings. I don't think Ric Flair is a bad guy at all. I don't know. I wasn't on that plane, so I really don't know. I do know I met Ric Flair and he was an absolute sweetheart, and I don't think it's because I gave him my money to meet him. He was genuinely like, you can tell when somebody is genuinely happy to meet their fans. Ric Flair is one of them. He's genuinely happy to meet his fans. If you see him at a bar and you go up and you politely ask for a picture with him, he'll give you one and he won't charge you. So to me, that's not a bad guy. To me, that, he's a cool dude. Um, and the way the smile Ric Flair gets on his face when he enters a room of his fans and everybody starts doing what you do when Ric Flair is in your presence, everybody start going, woo! It was fantastic. That smile on his face is probably one of the greatest things I've ever seen in my life. He was just beaming ear to ear. And the line was pretty long. There was a lot of people wanting to meet Ric Flair, and he took his time with everybody. He talked to everybody, and it was a little rushed, but he took his time and he talked to everybody. I was probably about 50 to 60 people back in line. Like, I was like 50 to 60 people from the front of the line. And by the time he sat down and they started pushing people through, it was probably like 10 minutes until I got to him. But I was still able to, like, say what I needed to say. The interaction took like 45 seconds, which, it doesn't sound like a lot of time, but with that many people and being ushered as quickly, like, that was plenty of time for me to just say what I wanted to say. And, that's a story for a different time as well. We're here to talk about Sting. I keep getting off subject because that's who I am as a person. I get on tangents and then I just roll with it and go down a rabbit hole of nonsense and silliness and things that aren't on topic, but it's Ric Flair, so it is kind of on the topic of Sting because they are best friends, and Ric Flair is, helping Sting finish his career. And a friendship like that is beautiful. And again, on Ric Flair's character, do you really think Sting would be best friends with a sexual predator? Like, knowingly be friends with a sexual predator. Like, Sting of all people. Sting is like the one guy that he just wouldn't tolerate something stupid like that. He would never tolerate that. That is why I think Ric Flair is a good guy. That's why I think Ric Flair is innocent in that whole plane ride from hell bull crap. You know, I don't think Sting would be friends with somebody like that. And that makes me think Ric Flair is not somebody like that. So that's my opinion. It's not a fact, but that's why I support Ric Flair the way that I do. And again, it's very telling. There's probably a reason why Sting didn't want to join WWE until 2012. Vince McMahon, I'm looking at you, motherfucker. Yeah. That and even then, it had to have been a pretty hefty freaking paycheck for Sting to sign with WWE for he wasn't even in the company. I mean, he was in the company for a few years, but like compared to some other guys, you got your lifers in WWE like Randy Orton. I don't think he's ever going to leave WWE. And I don't think he was ever anywhere other than WWE. He's a lifer, but again, he's also a legacy, because of his dad and his grandfather. There's, who else? I can't even really freaking remember, but there's definitely other wrestlers who are just strictly WWE. They're never going to go anywhere else. They've never been anywhere else, and that's that. So for Sting to have been as established as he was before he even joined the rankings of WWE and still have as many fans and people say as many wonderful things about Sting, that to me says a lot about his character as well. Again, I don't think Sting would want to be friends with somebody who's a known sexual predator. So take that with a grain of salt. I know it may sound silly to some people, but take it as a grain of salt. And I'm not saying anybody there's no way nobody in wrestling could be a sexual predator because that's been proven false. We also didn't think certain people would go out and murder their children and wives. But here we are. So Sting. Man, I'm going to miss that guy. I really am. I know I said it like 100 times already how much I'm going to miss him and how much he means to me, but it's Sting! Okay, that was like the worst Tony Schiavone impression I've ever heard in my life, but it's Sting. The icon Sting, the living legend, the living icon, whatever you want to call him, whatever name you have for Sting. Yes, I was a little stinger growing up, and I'm still a little stinger now. I love Sting. I'm going to miss him. I'm probably going to cry like a little bitch watching his retirement match. And we already know he's probably not going to win it because I think the tag titles are on the line, and it's against the Young Bucks, and Sting's retiring. What's he gonna do with the belt when he's retired? He can't have it. So I mean, crappy way to go out, honestly. I mean, Ric Flair's retirement match. We all knew he was gonna win. I mean, you can't have your retirement match like that. But how cool for the Young Bucks, though. They get to retire the icon Sting. How freaking cool is that? Like, I know the Young Bucks, you either love them or you hate them, but it is what it is. The Young Bucks are pretty cool. I'm not going to sit here and say that, like, they're my favorite or I'm their biggest fan, but I do like them. I do respect them. I love them as heels. I like them as baby faces. I think they're great. They definitely you know, they've got some they've got some moves. I may not like their ring attire too much. I don't think they've had any ring attire that I was ever like really into, but I also understand that that's part of their characters and, part of who they are, a little flashy and gaudy, I guess, but now they're doing like these EVP things where like now they're wrestling in suits. And again, I don't think that's a good look. But that's just my opinion. Some people may be into it. I personally am not into it. Um, as far as ring attire goes, uh, you know, I don't really like the onesies. Mm-mm. I don't like onesies. I don't know. I don't know. It just seems like a little babyish to me. Like, you look like a adult sized baby. Again, that's my opinion. I The leggings are cool, or what do you guys call them? Long johns, I guess. Long johns are cool. Trunks, or tights. The speedo looking stuff. It depends. It depends on who it's on. If it's somebody like Trevor Murdoch, not so much. But MJF looks alright in them. Like, again, it's like one of those things, like, depending on who wears it. But I think my favorite is like either like biker shorts or like boxer shorts. Like what Hook wears. I love that. I love that. I think that is something that looks good on everybody, and I know Samoa Joe wears like the same style, like boxer shorts almost that Hook wears. I think those probably flatter everybody the best, and it probably seems like a little bit more comfortable. And the same with the biker shorts. Again, you know, I feel like those would probably be the most comfortable things to wrestle in. And that's just for the guys. For the women, again, mm, I'm not really a fan of like the one piece suits. Although Natalia's is really good. I do like hers a lot, and but I also don't really like the super sexy bikini style on the women. The body suits look good though, like what Nyla Rose wears, or let's go back a few years, and like what Wendy Richter wore, stuff like that. I think looks good, and I do like Ruby Soho's attire, like the two piece where she's got like leggings and a cute little crop top on. Paige, I like her attire, like those kind of styles. I like those. Um, but that's just me. Those are just my preferences. Like if I was a wrestler, I'd probably do something similar to like Nyla Rose, just because I'm a chunky girl and she's got like the little piece that like kind of camouflages the tummy a little bit. And I swear to God, I fucking swear to God, if anybody comes on here and talks shit about Nyla's gender, no, I'm not going to tolerate that. Okay, I love Nyla Rose as a wrestler. I respect her as a wrestler. I respect her as a trans woman. I respect her as a woman. I respect her as a wrestler. She's fantastic. And before anybody comes on here and starts talking shit, nope, shutting it down. It's not allowed. Any comments in regards to Nyla negatively, you will be banned. I'm not going to tolerate it. You're allowed to have your opinions, and that's fine. But we're not gonna dead name her. We're not going to take away her identity like that. She deserves better, and you know it. But anyway, I like her attire. I like the way she carries herself. I think she's fantastic. I like Athena's attire too. Her attire is pretty cool. Um, Taya Valkyrie's attire, it works for her, but it's not something that I think everybody could wear. But it works for her. But yeah. So anyway, it's my little podcast for today or for the week. Again, brush up on your Sting, or brush up on your knowledge of Sting and his career. He's had an amazing career. Started off with the Ultimate Warrior, who was then called the Dingo Warrior. I don't even know if a lot of people know that. Um, the Dingo Warrior. How funny. But yes, Steve Borden, aka Sting, the icon. Man, he's going to be missed by so many people, and I'm not even just talking about the fans. I mean, his colleagues, you know, everybody in the wrestling industry. And I just think it's really freaking crappy that WWE is not allowing anyone to attend Sting's last match. And apparently, like, they blocked, or I don't, that's the wrong word. They're not allowing Tony Khan any access to Sting or footage of Sting's career while he was in WWE or any other promotion that is owned by WWE, so like WCW, all of that's gone. So any highlight reel that we have is basically any work that Sting did outside of WWE and WCW. And mind you, he was in WCW before it was owned by WWE, but now WWE owns all the catalog and footage of WCW's history. So that's all gone. Can't use it. So and the and some of the territories at the time too that Sting may have gone through, which is now also owned by WWE. Like, ugh, Vince McMahon's such a greedy fucking bastard. Hate that fucker. As you could tell from my first episode, which was done last week. Anyway, sat here and talked to myself long enough. I'm sure you guys are tired of hearing my voice go on and on and on about Sting and wrestling and all the stupid stuff. Anyway, catch me on Facebook at Ropes and Heels. I'm on YouTube, Ropes and Heels. Like and subscribe, comment. You can also email me. I'm still working on my Instagram, trying to figure out how I want to get it set up and what I want to post and things like that. But you can still email me at ropesandheels@gmail.com. It's all spelled out, ROPESANDHEELS. My name's Deanna. If you know me, you know where to find me. I look forward to hearing from everybody and look forward to getting some feedback from y'all. And, my Pennsylvania just slipped out a little bit. Whoops. um, but yeah, I look forward to hearing from you. I love getting feedback. I love knowing what you guys think. What do you guys want to hear me talk about next? If you want to get on and talk with me about stuff, I'm open to that too. Just shoot me a message, shoot me an email, whatever works for you, whatever's easiest. Even if you know me personally, go ahead and shoot me a text. I don't care how you reach out to me. Just reach out to me. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you want to be on my show. And hope you're all having a wonderful week. Until next time, we'll see you later. Bye.